Jeff, when we talk about vCon, and we were talking about this backstage, there are so many variations of how people have experienced vCons, how people understand vCons. And for some of our audience, this is the first time you've ever heard of vCon. And so Jeff and I are going to just drill it down to the basics and then grow it, hopefully, to where many of you can see how you can apply this to your AI development, maybe to some of your business best practices, because it's not going away.
No. So, and good morning to you. And thanks you for tuning in right now. And yes, we're talking about living with vCons. You may not be able to choose your relatives, but you can choose to use vCons. We're talking about virtualized conversations in the age of AI and the coming of age of the fact that we're now living in a time when we will have a standard on how to capture conversations. Conversations become assets, things which require you to rethink how you work. I mean, what I can say is in the future, having the ability to capture conversations as assets and know that a conversation actually happened. And if you happen to be in an industry which needs to deal with compliance, whether you're in finance, whether you're in health, or for that matter, dealing in a country or a state where you need to manage data privacy and deal with compliance on that level, you now can. What is a vCon? A vCon is a structured way of capturing a conversation. You can say it's a PDF for conversations. What that is supposed to imply is that conversations are now portable across the internet. And by the way, it's not like capturing conversations is new. People have been capturing conversations, in forever. If you happen to be in surveillance, people are listening to phone calls with wiretaps. That's understood. And if you're calling into a call center, it's understood, whether you like it or not, that those calls are recorded. But the coming of age of vCons means that for everybody else who's never been in a business which focused on recording conversations, you can now extract value, the gold, the titanium, the diamonds from those conversations, the conversations which you and I had. But we may know that we saw each other, but we don't exactly remember what was said. Putting the right structures in place lets us capture with no uncertainty what was said and make those conversations actionable. And so when we're talking about living with vCons, part of me says we need to rethink how we communicate, how a business communicates internally, how a business communicates externally. It doesn't matter whether you're a small business or big business. This affects everyone, really, because we have for the first time the ability to make conversations exportable, so that we can take it from one system, export it to another system. We have the ability to chain together conversations. So for every time you and I text, every time you and I email, every time you and I chat, whether we're on a video, whether on audio, or actually have a tape recording or the digital tape recording of our conversations, you could export all of those conversations and create basically make it matter of fact that we did speak. And then the cool part is we can now chain together all these conversations and throw it into our favorite AI and ask questions. And it should not matter whether you're a Copilot person, a Claude person, whether you're a Gemini person or a ChatGPT person or DeepSeek or running your own LLM. It should all work transparently, because the core of this and the value of this is that we're now working with another internet standard. The Internet Engineering Task Force are the folks that every day help run the internet. The protocols, the technologies that come out of the ITF literally gives us the ability to have WebRTC, which is the platform we're using right now to do this live broadcast. And we just take so much for granted. And so now
it's so easy.
And it's simple. I mean, again, as the end user, we don't think about the technology, we just use it. Right. And so because the if you're a developer or you just want to see it for yourself, if you open up your favorite LLM and say, show me the Python source code to a web server or to an FTP server, boom, 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 you'll get all the code. And for that reason, not for that reason, but for a related reason, a vCon is also the structure is also understood by the LLMs. So there's no training required. You see, until today, or a few years ago, if you happen to be in the proprietary recording business, whether we will call out Genesis or call out IBM or any company really playing in that space, servicing call centers, if they wanted to use AI, they had to train their AI to understand their file formats. Here, you don't have to, and you have that portability. And the best thing is, if you're a customer, you have the potential to go to multiple vendors in the future, the vCon Foundation will be hosting interop events demonstrating interoperability amongst people who are building services and products in the vCon ecosystem. First, we go for operability. First, we want to help people operate with their own products and showcase them. And so, there's some upcoming vCon Foundation roadshows. I used to call them meetups, and I think I want to distinguish that when we're at a conference, we're at a trade show, and we're gathering people who also are attending, we'll call that a vCon. We'll call that a vCon meetup. But if I know for a fact that on May 13th, I'm in New York City, sponsored by Grandstream, because they're a vCon Foundation member, we'll call that a vCon roadshow meeting. So we're going to be vCons are going on the road. We're first going to be hitting up San Diego. Crescendo is hosting us there. That's one of our vCon Foundation charter members. They're hosting us in San Diego on May 6th. And then on May 13th, we're going to be in New York City. And then the following week, I'm going to be in Washington, D.C. attending ITW. I have no official vCon meetups planned, but if you bump into me on the show floor and want to talk about adding some AI smarts into what you're doing, we could always talk vCons. And I think that companies that have been selling unified communication systems are going to have to rethink what the word unified means, because a vCon truly does unify communication much differently than what for the last 16 and a half years unified communications has meant. Because for some people, it's unifying communication into a company, not out of a company. And now we have the through a company stuff. And I'll just put a slight plug in that Free Will Dial-Up, which was a platform I first started in 1995, where it's now 2026. The world's different. We're the new FWD. We're still in our alpha testing phase. The difference this time around is that every conversation provides a vCon. So for people who want to build applications, we provide something called webhooks. And in the near future, and this came out of actually one of the first vCon Foundation meetings, I think the one we had in December, just hit me.
Yes.
Oh, I should like FWD. And provide our members a chance to showcase their innovations. And so that's happening. And so, we at the vCon Foundation, we put words to actions and good things happen. So, living with vCons, it's going to change how we work and live. People are going to be on top of it. They're going to be the ones leading the charge, and others will catch up. But, a virtualized conversation is something which Thomas will tell you is, at least he used to say, is the robot food for AI. And my comeback to that is that the output is the brain food for you. And the ability to have a structure around the conversation. And then for people who are in that compliance area, understand how to handle that compliance and how to deal with the rules and regulations, dealing with consent and redaction and the ability to remove consent. That's really important stuff. And that's, if you're in a regulated industry, you can't take that lightly. And so, that's what that's the whole thing for me. It's about the virtualized conversation, what you do with it. And by the way, the Internet Engineering Task Force is it runs the internet, and the people who go to the meetings are volunteering their time on behalf of their own passion. And a lot of great people are involved in the vCon movement. It's not just one or two people; there are many people, and a lot of the familiar names on the vCon mailing list are people who have been historically involved in SIP, so they understand real-time communications inherently, intuitively. And so I believe we're still on the path for the vCon RFC to be published in 2026. And when that happens, you're going to see a whoosh of more excitement happening, because all of a sudden everyone's want to know what is your vCon strategy? What is this vCon? How do we add it to our product? Why do we need it? Why is that person using it? Why aren't we using it? Why don't you tell me about it? Well, we're telling you about it. vCons are real. They're not going away. It's going to grow. This is going to be a catalyst that's going to help create and drive what I'm calling the AI communication industry. Until not that long ago, me and many others looked at the interconnection of internet and communication, and living in business at the speed that's operating at the speed of AI. My shift is now AI plus communication, and vCon is very much part of that. In my model of memory and trust, vCons provide a memory. Trust is going to be the compliance side of it, and as long as you have the highest quality signal coming in, you'll have the highest quality results coming out.
Jeff, it's so true. And everybody is just sitting on this hockey stick until it actually applies to your business, which everything is. Remember, it's not what you said. It's what was recorded that makes vCon that much more powerful.
Now,
Jeff,
by the way, hopefully what you said is what's recorded, because otherwise we have some issues here.
So guys, on the road with Jeff, May 6th in San Diego, May 13th, going to be in New York. We can't not wait to meet you, see you, be a part of it. Reach out, connect with Jeff, reach out to Jeff Pulver. You just need to know that it's a part of a community, guys, that really is aligned with the goal of really infusing it with communications and AI. So Jeff, what's the best way for them to connect with you and reach out?
Best way is on LinkedIn. Just find me, drop me a message, email jeff@pulver.com. Make sure you put an interesting subject in the title of your email so it doesn't go into my spam filter, because I don't really check spam too often. If you don't hear back from me, hit me up again. LinkedIn's pretty good. Just find me on LinkedIn. And if you can't get through on LinkedIn, then leave a comment on one of my posts and we'll follow up. But it's Jeff Pulver, and I'm all about the vCon.
Wow. Thanks so much, Jeff. Have a great day. I'll see you next week, my friend.
See you next week.